Hey there, kindred spirits. Welcome to Kindred Spirits Book Club, the podcast where grown-ass ladies of an ever-changing number geek out about Anne of Green Gables. Or, in today's case, where they plan the ultimate pilgrimage to Prince Edward Island. I'm Reagan Duffy, and I'm here with my co-host Kelly Gerner and our special guest, returning friend of the pod, Dr. Brenna Clark-Gray. Kelly and Brenna, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm sure all of our listeners remember Brenna because she was here very recently. But to remind you, in case you've missed a few episodes, Brenna has a PhD in Canadian literature and also co-hosts a podcast about young adult literature and film called Hazel and Katniss and Harry and Star. So Brenna guested on our episode last season about the Anne of Green Gables, the sequel miniseries, and just very recently joined us this season for our episode out now about Anne's journey to motherhood. Well, our 2 episodes, because that one kind of got away from us, didn't it? So welcome back, Brenna.
Thank you. I promise to talk less this time.
You're asking the wrong girls on that.
Yeah, I think we were all guilty of that, but I think it was a good episode or episodes. I'm glad you were here for it, and I'm glad you're here today.
Thanks.
Well, this is a fun time of year, isn't it? The weather's warming up, school is winding down, summer plans are right around the corner. And what are the 2 of you doing with your hopefully lovely springs?
Well, like Anne, I adore spring. I think it is the absolute best season in Los Angeles. True summer in LA is usually too warm to be outside for a long time. Late summer into early fall is absolutely disgusting. You always want to get out of town if you possibly can. But spring in LA is perfect. It's a great time for festivals and fun outdoor activities. We've had like the Ren Fair, which is so fun. We also love the LA Times Festival of Books, which is such a great opportunity to connect with authors and other bookish people. There was recently a rosé festival at the Rose Bowl, which is very near my house. That's a wine festival. And I went to the TCM Film Festival in Hollywood a couple weekends ago, which is where you get to see all these like old black and white movies play out on all the like old classic movie theaters in Hollywood. Super, super fun occasion. So I have loved getting out there and doing all the fun things. Unfortunately, I am still getting over this flu, so I didn't get to do quite everything I hoped for, but it is a beautiful time of year nevertheless.
Are you starting to feel better?
Slowly but surely, yes. I am not bouncing back from this as quickly as I would want to be honest.
Well, I hope you at least got a little backyard sunshine because the weather's been pretty nice.
It really has been.
It is a great time of year to do fun things in LA. And as a result, my calendar has been absolutely nuts. April and heading into May too. I thought May was going to be lighter, but so far not so much. So we had the spring musical performances of Seussical, a school talent show, 2 concerts coming up, plus various awards ceremonies and other end of the year activities going on. So there's something about that end of school time is just a little bananas.
They're cramming it all in. They want to show their work. They're like, this is what we've been doing with your kid all year.
Yep.
And part of me is like, yes, great. I appreciate that. And I will say the benefit to middle school is some of these things are a little less intense. But we did go to the Renaissance Fair. Did you go, Kelly? Did you guys go this year?
We did go. We went the first weekend that it was open. It was a perfect day. It was still cool, almost sort of chilly even. And for whatever reason, we kind of had the place to ourselves. The last couple of years I've gone, it's been so packed and so hot. And this was the exact opposite of that. It was wonderful. We went with a good girlfriend of ours. So we were all dressed up in our costumes and we were posing for pictures and we were having my husband take our pictures. That man cannot take a photograph to save his life. Every single picture of us at the Renaissance Fair, it is like a collection of the 25 least flattering photos of me ever taken. We have been together for 20 years, and he does not know or care about my angles.
I am sorry, because I bet you guys looked adorable.
We did look adorable. We looked so cute. It's a nightmare.
Well, we did not get nearly as lucky with it being empty. It was cool the weekend before and it was cool the weekend after, but the day that we went was slightly too warm if you're wearing a corset, because you're wearing a corset. What is pleasant when you're not wearing a corset is too hot when you are wearing a corset, even if you don't pull it super
you
tight.
have to remember, all those clothes were meant for like the British Isles 500 years ago.
Fair. We did enjoy like all the people watching. We let Alice bring a friend who had never been before, but was like all in. They wore their elf ears and enjoyed shopping. They enjoyed shopping more theoretically when it was my money than when it was their money.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They were smart with their purchases. And we also just got back from our first camping trip of the year, which last weekend. I like camping, but again, because I'm going to sound like a baby, I don't like it when it gets too hot out either. So spring camping is the way to go for me. Because the other problem we have here is that when it gets hot, it gets dry
Yeah.
and then you can't have fires.
Yeah.
So it sucks to go camping and not be able to have a campfire. It sort of defeats the purpose.
It's the same here. I don't think I've ever had a campfire here. We're
No.
always in forest fire risk. It's the
Okay.
desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand our pain,
I
right?
do, yeah.
How about you, Brenna? Is your spring bursting with activities?
We have our first camping trip in a couple of weeks.
Fun.
So that's coming up. My husband's built a new raised bed in the garden, so I'm eager to get planting. And I have 10 bee cocoons in my fridge. I have 4 boys and 6 girls, and I need to put them in their bee house, but I can't do that until stuff starts to bloom. So I'm excited to
I'm
put my
excited.
bees outside. Yeah. I've gotten into like local pollinators. So they're mason bees, which are native to our area. And then I'm going to take a little trip back to Ontario to see my mom before my maternity travel ban goes into effect. So yeah, it's going to be a quiet summer here, and then it won't be right at the end.
Well, congratulations, Brenna. We're excited
Thanks.
for your big news.
Thank you.
Especially because the last time Brenna was on the pod, we didn't know that she was pregnant and we made her talk about infant loss. So
So
sorry.
our
I'm just
belated
excited.
apologies.
Just excited to not do that this episode.
Yeah, right. No, we're going to talk about something much more fun. But what are you planting? That's what I want to know.
There's just veggies in the backyard bed. So we've already planted peas because they're a cold crop. So they like to go in early. And there was a plant sale at kiddos' school. So we get like a box of assorted vegetables. So I'm planting assorted.
Ooh,
Whatever comes in the
assorted.
assortment.
Yeah. And then in the front garden, we decided to just really thickly sow it with wildflower seeds. So
You're gonna have to
Yeah.
send us some pictures at the end of summer. It's gonna be gorgeous.
I'm just eager for my bees.
Oh, Brenna, it's gonna be beautiful. All right. Well, Reagan and I are headed to Prince Edward Island this June. This is something that we have been hoping to do together for some time, even before we started this podcast. But a few things came together at just the right time, and now we are booked. We are ready to go. We're actually going to be there for a really good chunk of time, more than a week. So hopefully we will be able to do it all. And so that is one of the reasons we wanted to invite Brenna back today. Brenna, did you grow up in the Maritimes or did you just spend summers there? You have to explain this whole thing to us.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But I know you spent many childhood summers on PEI, so you are our resident expert.
No, that's good. I'm also, just like your local Canadian.
Yes. He just
we need more
the ways of
Canadian
Canadians.
I grew up in Ontario, but when you guys knew me best, I was in graduate school, which I did go to the Maritimes for graduate school. I lived in New Brunswick then. But yeah, no, PEI was our summer staple road trip. Every summer. We always rented the same cottage on the red sand side of the island. Yeah, every summer.
Wait, which side is the red sand side?
You're testing my geography. I don't know, but all 4 sides of Prince Edward Island have different sand. Like there's red
What?
sand beaches, there's white sand beaches, there's black sand beaches, and then there's like sand beaches.
Okay, this is why we need you. We had no idea. We've done so much planning and we did not know about the 4 sands of Prince Edward Island.
And you'll see on the PEI tourism website, they refer to like the red sand shore in some of the
Yeah.
stuff. And then like the descriptions of the White Sands Hotel, which is on a different part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why the White Sands Hotel is called the White Sands Hotel?
Yeah.
Oh.
Y'all, it's all coming together. Wait, Brenna, how long was that drive from Ontario to PEI? That seems like it would be pretty long.
That's a good question. We used to stop overnight just over the border into New Brunswick. So I
Mhm.
don't really remember. When I was in grad school and I would drive home, I could do Fredericton, New Brunswick to Merrickville, Ontario, where my parents were, in 9 hours
So
driving
that's a
straight through.
chunk. It's a chunk.
So yeah, so a little bit further because plus then back in the day you had to wait for the ferry and stuff. So a little bit longer to get to PEI. Yeah.
Oh. All right. So do you have a favorite childhood memory of those summers on PEI?
Yeah, it's hard to beat year after year forcing my much older and much cooler brother to go to the Anne of Green Gables musical.
Nice.
So many times that he started just getting summer jobs so he didn't have to go on the trip to PEI with the family.
Stop it. That's so funny. He's like, I would literally rather work than
Yeah.
see the Anne of Green Gables musical one more time.
Yeah, pretty
Well,
much.
we are going to go see it.
Yeah, you are.
We have
Oh,
tickets
yeah.
ready. We are so excited.
I can still sing the whole thing, like basically
Can you
from the
really?
opening overture, like all the way through.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, after we see it, we'll have a little sing along all together.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, well, the first thing that we're going to do when we get there is we're going to spend the first several days at the Ellen Montgomery Institute's conference at the University of Prince Edward Island in Charlottetown. This year, the theme of the conference is the politics of home. So, it's a very new experience for me and Reagan.
Yes, my very first literary conference. I mean, I've been to lots of conferences on mental health and like social welfare, but never a literary academic conference. So, Brenna, you're a literature scholar. What do we need for our literary conference survival guide?
Right. Yes. What needs to be in our tote bags? What footwear should we be wearing? Is it like Comic-Con?
It's not like Comic-Con, although you're probably going to like the closest academic conference to Comic-Con. So I've
Good
never
choice on
been.
our part.
I've never been to this conference, but I've heard a lot about it. And of course, because I went to grad school in Canadian literature in the Maritimes, I went to
Yep.
grad school with a fair number of Anne of Green Gables scholars. So I've heard a lot about it. And yeah, it's not like a traditional literature conference in that it does attract so many fans and enthusiasts, like just like you guys. So I don't think you'll feel out of place at all. Everything I've heard about it
Awesome.
says that people are super welcoming. It's not like going to like a, I don't know, like a medievalist conference and there's like 9 of you in the world who study your
Right.
thing and like it's very insular. It's not like that.
I have a funny story. I have a very, very dear friend from high school who's actually a literature professor at Fordham now, and his area of scholarship is Shakespeare. I mean, he teaches Shakespeare, but it's like, Sydney and like, a lot of the English Renaissance dudes. Anyway, so I saw this thing on TikTok. It was like a pan around the room at a conference on Shakespeare somewhere on the Eastern Seaboard. I'm not sure where. And I sent it to him. I'm like, hey, these are your friends? Totally jokingly. And he's all like, I have like tea on every single person in that video. He's
Small,
like,
small, small.
do I have the details for you?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter what your discipline is, it's too small.
It's too small.
The Ella Montgomery scholars themselves can be a trip. I've known folks in the discipline who do fully engage in cosplay, so I don't know how much of that you'll see at the conference, but I do know it
That's
exists. Not
amazing.
something you typically see in other realms
Oh, so
of
at the
literary
Shakespeare
scholarship.
conferences, they don't dress like Shakespeare?
No, and even like, when you go to like the postmodern Canadianist conference, I mean, I guess we are all kind of dressed like postmodernist
Like, we're
Canadians,
all
but
dressed like sort of like, yeah, disaffected Gen Xers generally.
right. Yeah. But I do think Montgomery scholarship in general lends itself to like more of a crossover between scholars and super fans. Like, I
Yeah,
think it's kind of like comic scholarship in that way, in that a lot of people become scholars because they were super fans to begin
yeah,
with. So the
that makes
vibe
a
is
lot of
different,
sense.
probably better. My big advice to you is to not try to do a whole day of panels because you'll get exhausted and you'll get bored because you won't be able to focus your attention.
Oh, okay.
Like even if it's your absolute like specialized discipline that you're like super motivated on, a whole
Yeah.
day of panels is impossible. So don't try.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I say this, it's like I'm the person who my favorite thing about conferences is going back to my room and ordering chicken fingers though. So, your mileage might vary. I would say flag the panels you really want to see, prioritize that, and then prioritize time to like go and get a cup of coffee and talk about it and like process
Yeah.
something. But I did sneak a peek at the program before our chat, and I would say you should definitely make sure you hit all the keynotes, the fireside chat, and the roundtable because those all look really worthwhile. So if it was me, I would build my program around those big events.
Okay, those
Yeah.
are amazing recommendations. Thank you so much. I am really looking forward to a more scholarly perspective on the books because although, of course, Reagan and I love a deep dive on all the characters and themes in these books for the podcast, I don't really characterize the work we're doing as particularly scholarly, Reagan. We're just enthusiasts, Brenna. We're just fans. So I am really looking forward to learning more from actual experts in the field and just see how that opens up my own understanding of these texts.
Yeah, I think the thing you'll find fun is just seeing how people apply like different theories and perspectives to the text that you maybe hadn't considered before. Because even
Yeah,
just looking through the program, I was like, oh, there's like some really interesting connections being drawn here that sound really fun.
yeah, absolutely.
When we write the episodes, obviously we're reading the books really closely and we're bringing in kind of our general knowledge of other things, but we're not doing deep dive research. We're not trying to necessarily develop like new schools of thought on a thing. We're not reading other scholarly papers to bring stuff in.
And we don't have that kind of like academic training. And I actually
Mhm.
sometimes like feel the lack of that a little bit when in the pod when we're writing because I know to look for the things that I learned about as like, you know, a literature major in college, but I'm not looking for things sort of like at that next level of scholarship. And I think
Mm.
that you would probably, if you had, as an advanced degree like Brenna, if you were studying this stuff more formally, that you would even just have the facility to like know where to look for some of these things. Whereas I'm more like themes,
Well,
similes.
I mean, those are always in, right? But it's the grounding that you get. Like
Mm,
if you know about all the other authors who are writing at the same time as L.M.
right.
Montgomery, or like the tradition of the literature in PEI, you just notice things. And I
Yeah.
think that has more to do with it than anything else. It's like what you notice kind of from the ground up, and then your ability to like apply a lens sort of top
Mhm.
down.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Kelly, do you have any particular panels that you're interested in?
Oh, yeah, lots. One of the first panels that I'm excited about is on
Mm.
Friday morning, and it's entitled Who's Home? Race, Nation, and Indigeneity. And as someone who's not Canadian, who doesn't have a lot of information or understanding about Canadian history, I often sense that I'm missing context when reading Montgomery because of that, right? I don't have the knowledge to be able to apply. I don't have the lens that you're talking about, Brenna, to be able to apply to the text in that way. So I'm looking forward to that because I'm hopeful that that will give me some more of that perspective. But I think my like toughest choice for the conference is going to be deciding on my Saturday afternoon panel because in the same time slot, so there's a panel about politics and Ellen Montgomery's work, and then there's another one called Welcome Home, question mark, Conceptions of Who Belongs, which again, that is another repeated theme that we come back to all the time. So here are these two panels that speak directly to themes that we talk about all the time, and they're at the exact same time. So I think, Reagan, we might have to divide and conquer.
The other thing you should
Go
not be afraid
separate.
to do, because scholars love this, is if there's a panel you can't make it to, just look up the person's email and be like, hey, would you mind sharing your paper with me? I couldn't make it to your session. And they'll be like, oh my God,
Stop,
somebody
you
cared
can do
enough to
that?
ask for my paper. Yeah, oh yeah, you could do that. You'll make
Oh, I
Really?
people's
totally
day.
didn't know you could do that. That's
Oh yeah.
great.
Oh yeah. No, it's very exciting when anybody cares. I
That
can't
is
overstate to you how surprising and delightful it is when somebody actually expresses any interest in your own
That's so
scholarship.
good.
that is an excellent tip.
And sometimes like one panel on a paper sounds amazing, but the other two are just kind of and you need a
Yeah.
break. It's good to just remember you can reach out to individual scholars and they will be so happy.
I love that tip.
Reagan, what are you excited about?
Well, again, it's hard to narrow it down, but there was a few that seemed really interesting. There was one called Food, Feminism, and Home, and another one called Bringing Queerness Home. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I've loved about our conversations about Anne over the course of doing this podcast is talking about all the ways that maybe unknowingly she was a little ahead of her time, and also all the ways these books still resonate with modern readers, and we can kind of apply a more modern lens to some of these books. So I'm to find kind of new meanings in the works today. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping these two panels will give me some new insights in those areas.
You should definitely watch out for media releases around the time of the conference too, because you can run a story about Lucy Maud Montgomery in like the general Canadian press and people will read it. You'll often see like stories kind of break out from the conference. And I remember a couple years ago, probably more than a couple now, but one of the scholars gave a really interesting paper. I have since read it, arguing that Anne is an early narrative about fetal alcohol syndrome. So those kinds of like
Wow.
totally left field things you never would have thought of that draw all kinds of interesting new connections often explode out of this conference. So worth keeping an eye on. You're going to have a good time at the conference.
Well, I know one thing we're going to have to do is some serious homework before this conference. Neither of us has actually read all of Montgomery's works, although, Reagan, I do think that you are a little ahead of me. So my goal pre-conference is to read Jane of Lantern Hill and all the Pat books before we go. Because when I'm thinking about this theme of home, it seems like those are really going to be big topics.
Yeah, I think I'm going to need a refresher on Jane of Lantern Hill, which I have read, but it was ages ago. I have not reread it in a long time. And she shows up in several panels. So I think that would be a one that's definitely worthwhile for me to reread before we go.
Brenna, do you usually do homework before these things?
Yeah, usually my homework is writing the paper I'm going to give on the plane on the way to the conference. So
Brenna's like, I'm the one talking.
yeah, it's been a very long time since I've gone to a conference that I wasn't just panicking about my own paper at, I have to say. I'm kind of jealous of the idea of just like going and absorbing cool ideas. I think you guys have it right.
I think it's going to be such a blast, truly.
Well, I also hope one of the cool things about this conference is I'm hoping we'll get to meet some listeners who might also be at the conference. So if you are going to be there, please be sure to follow us on Instagram, which is kindredspirits.bookclub, because we will probably post a day and a time to meet up for lunch during the conference. If you see us out there in the wild, please come say hi. We would love to meet you guys.
We really, really would.
So our plan is that my mom, my husband, and my daughter are going to come meet us as the conference winds up. And then we're going to travel around Prince Edward Island for another 5 days or so and be tourists and see all of the Anne and Ella Montgomery sites and just experience the best of PEI. Weirdly, we could not convince Kelly's husband, Chuck, to come, which Steve only realized today. Like we were
Oh, are you
talking
kidding
and
me?
as I was putting together,
Steve. He's been
our little,
laboring
like,
under a misconception that his buddy was going to be there.
he did. It was like, when's Chuck getting there? I was like, well, Chuck's not coming.
So Chuck has been to Prince Edward Island.
Oh.
He grew up in the East Coast and his sister was obsessed with Anne of Green Gables. And so they went there for a family trip one summer. It's probably the worst age to bring a young boy on that kind of trip. Like I want to say maybe he was 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. And he was just, this is the worst.
Chuck is Brenna's brother.
Yes, he is Brenna's brother.
But he only had to do it once.
He got dragged around Prince Edward Island at a formative age and has chosen not to relive that experience.
And you know what? No one wants to travel with somebody who's reliving their worst summer memories. So
Exactly right.
Honestly,
exactly right. We will have fun without him.
It's better for all of us. So we're going to start in Charlottetown and then go up to the Cavendish area and then maybe a third spot on the island, which we haven't quite settled on. We're going to do like Airbnbs, I think. So we are happy to take Rex of interesting places to go. So Brenna, tell us all about your past travel experience in Prince Edward Island. What did those summer trips look like?
Yeah, so it's funny. I was thinking about this today. We used to go in my dad's Volkswagen Rabbit, which had like the vinyl seats and the no
Amazing.
back doors. So it would be me and my brother and the dog in the back seat, and my mom and my dad in the front. And we would drive down.
And those cars in my memory are not very big.
No, they're very little.
Yeah.
Smaller than a Golf now, for sure.
Yeah.
We would either do a week in Nova Scotia, where my grandparents lived, or we'd do a week in New Brunswick, where my dad's buddy from grad school lived. And then we'd head to a rented cottage on PEI for a week. It was owned by a friend of my mom's, somebody she worked with. And so it felt like ours, even though it wasn't, because we always went back to the same place, you know? We'd always take our golden retriever. She was the oatmeal colored golden retrievers, like not the dark red.
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
But by the end of a week in PEI in the red sand every single day swimming, she'd be like pink red from the sand.
Like an Irish setter. All of a sudden now you have an Irish setter.
Adorable. And like it would be like what we'd now call like a balayage, right? It was like start here and it would like go down to her plumes. But yeah, so we would spend every morning on the beach and the afternoons we'd go do stuff in Charlottetown and we'd have seafood for dinner most nights. I remember this one all you can eat lobster restaurant, and I did not like lobster as a kid, but weirdly for a small child, I loved mussels, still do, never flavor reverted. But they also had all you can eat mussels. So I would eat like
amazing.
My body weight in mussels every night. I know that you're seeking lobster rolls, right, Kelly?
Yes.
That's like, okay, so
that's my quest.
I did not put this in my notes for you. So write this down. There is a fast food chain in the Maritimes called Deluxe Seafood.
Lobster fast food?
Yeah, it's called Deluxe Fries, actually, I think, but their whole thing is seafood. They do lobster roll and fries, for sure. It's delicious. They do deep fried scallop and chips, which was always my dad's favorite. And then they have like, if you have non-seafood people with you, they do like chicken fingers and stuff too. But yeah, Deluxe French fries. And they're the best French fries. It's really, really good.
Yeah, count on the Maritimes to have drive-through lobster. That's incredible. Yeah. Brenna, those childhood trips sound so idyllic. And we just have to ask, what are all the Anne-related things that we have to do? If you could rank them actually on a scale from most cheesy to least cheesy, I would appreciate that. Unless it's just all cheese, in which case, that it is what it is. I have no problem embracing cheese. There is a part of me that would love to find like some kind of experience that felt authentic in some way, but I'm here for whatever comes.
It's all cheesy, all of it. And something I like to remind people when we talk about Anne of Green Gables and Prince Edward Island is all of the places are real. This is all her real experiences and her real memories. But most of this is she's living in Ontario and she's writing back to a nostalgic time. We talked before, like you guys talk about it on other episodes. We talked about it on our episode. It's like fantasy wish fulfillment writing back. So like the books are already a nostalgic representation of Prince Edward Island. And you'll find when you go there, if you do chat to locals, there's a real love-hate relationship to Anne on the island. My friend Chandra growing up lived on PEI. We were pen pals. We met in a Great Big Sea, which is an Atlantic Canadian band, forum in the 90s, and we were pen pals.
God, I love it.
And I was like, oh my God, you live where Anne does. And she was like, never mention that woman's name to me again. I'm like, okay.
Yes. Okay. But no, I can see that, especially as a kid, really
Yeah.
having that kind of instinctive reaction.
Like she's the economic driver of the province in so
Yeah.
many ways, but there's so much touristy baggage that comes with her, obviously. So I would say there is probably no authentic experience to have, but you can go for a really nice walk on a birch path that
Yes.
you can pretend is the White Way of Delight.
Yes, that is what I will aim for.
For Anne things, of course, you have to do all the Cavendish stuff. You do have to do the museum. The museum is great. Like it's really thoughtfully put together. The musicals are great. You'll love all of it. Literally every single store you walk into will try to sell you red pigtails attached to a straw hat. So you have to at least get pictures of all of you wearing those because that's the rule.
I think we might have to get one for your daughter, Reagan.
Yeah, that's a staple. So yeah.
It's so good.
She's kind of entering her goth girl era.
I know.
But I wonder if I can convince her to wear one of those pinafores.
Oh, it's gonna be tough.
I don't know. I might have to bribe her. Well, I'm happy to embrace the cheese. So yeah, a few things I looked up that seem like we want to go is there's a Cavendish walking tour and the Haunted Wood Trail in Montgomery Park or around Montgomery Park and the Green Gables Heritage Place, of course.
Is that the museum, Brenna? Or
Yeah.
the same? Okay. Yeah.
But then there's also the Anna Green Gables Museum is Park Corner. Are they the same or different?
Oh, now you're
Different.
testing me. I don't know, actually. Maybe they're different.
Well, I think they are.
Heritage Place is the house itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is kitted out like a museum. Maybe there's another museum that I don't know about.
Okay. Yeah, because
I think all this is kind of in the same general zone, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's almost all like all within walking distance. You just park and it's all there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alice is very excited to go on. It is billed as Matthew's carriage ride around the Lake of Shining Waters. So
that's clearly a must do, Reagan.
Yeah.
I also saw, and this was not something that was like advertised to me in any way. I just saw it when I was sort of prowling Google Maps to try to get a sense of where everything was. I guess there's a water park called the Lake of Shining Waters Water Park, which genuinely I just thought was so funny. Like, I'm not a water park lady, but that is so funny.
I feel like that's there for the 11-year-old boys who have been dragged out of the
Yes,
Anne of Green Gables.
Yes. That's the bribe. We are going to see Anne of Green Gables the musical, but tomorrow we will go to the park.
Yeah, Lake of Shining Waters Water Park.
Yep. If only they had that when Chuck went, perhaps he would have had a better experience. Our listener suggested the Bidford Parsonage Museum as well. So I don't know, but we might check that out. So we are happy to go to any obscure little museum.
If the word museum or if the word like historical walking tour is involved, I would like to be part of it.
So what else should we see and do in Prince Edward Island, Brenna?
Okay, so I got a few non-Anne things that might not be on your radar yet. So
I love it.
One is the Evangeline region. So there's like a thriving Acadian population in PEI. And they've really recently, like in the last couple of decades, really tried to develop the tourism offerings. So if your listeners aren't familiar, the Acadians were the French settlers in Atlantic Canada. They were expelled by the British and then exiled to primarily the US in 1755. That's where Cajun people in Louisiana come from.
Yep.
Yeah, Cajun's like a shortening of Acadian. So Longfellow has like this famous poem, Evangeline, about that. They call it Le Grand Dérangement, big expulsion. And so that's where the region takes its name from. But what's cool about the Evangeline region is that a lot of Acadians have come back and resettled the Maritimes. And so there's like a really good museum, tons of cool art galleries and restaurants in the area. Folks primarily speak French, so it's just a very different vibe than you'll experience on the rest of the island. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A lot of music, a lot of sort of traditional kind of folk music from the time period you'll hear sort of just everywhere.
That sounds really cool. And I have, not that I'm any kind of an expert, but I've done a fair amount of poking around Southern Louisiana as well. I would love to see like what are some of the differences and similarities in language and food and all the
Yeah.
things.
It would be totally worth exploring that area then. Depending on where else you decide to go in the province, there's the Lennox Island Mi'kmaq Cultural Center. I think is worth taking time out to see.
Okay, wait, would you say that word again for us?
Mi'kmaq.
Mi'kmaq. Okay, we definitely pronounced it Micmac on one of our episodes, so apologies to the Mi'kmaq people.
Most settlers do or did. I think there's
Okay.
more awareness now, but like the when I was a kid, my grandparents lived in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, and the big mall in Dartmouth was literally called the Micmac Mall.
Oh
Darn
boy.
right.
Got it.
Yeah. So the Mi'kmaq Cultural Center, I like highlighting this for you guys because, you guys talk about the sort of the progressivism that's like buried in Montgomery's books that help us still love them now. But
Yeah,
and it's true, but I do think her treatment of Indigenous PEI is not great. It's either
right.
totally invisibilized or it's like the provider of the farm labor. And actually, same's true of the Acadians, right? She
Yeah,
talks about Marilla's
like
like,
the
oh, we'll just
French
get a little
boy
French
or
boy.
whatever.
So learning about the Mi'kmaq people, I think, is a must do, whether you go to Lennox Island or you find another cultural center. Totally, I would prioritize checking that out. And then this one is like really dorky, but you may or may not be aware that the Articles of Confederation, which is the founding document that combined PEI, New Brunswick, Lower Canada, and Upper Canada into Canada. Lower Canada is Quebec, Upper Canada is Ontario. Anyway, those were signed in Charlottetown in
Oh,
1867. Yeah. And so that's why, like, you probably have noticed that, like, the musical is at the Confederation Center and the
right.
bridge is the Confederation Bridge. And this is why every time you turn
Okay,
around, you'll
makes
be in a
sense.
Confederation Park or on Confederation Boulevard or, like, all the time.
Means something very different in Canada than it does in the
In our
US.
country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah.
Good
And
to
we
know.
never say Confederate. There's no
Oh, okay. It's
Confederation.
always the Confederation. Okay, good to
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Wise,
Um,
wise to distinguish one of the
Hmm.
but yeah, there's a historical walking tour for sure in Charlottetown that goes through like all the important places in Charlottetown from the signing that I think is really cool. You might find interesting.
I
So
mean, I
that's
think
dorky.
again, talking about like we just don't have this historical grounding.
Mm.
So getting a chance to learn some of that stuff will be really interesting.
I would love to learn more about that because again, that is just not knowledge that is like free floating in our brains when we're reading the books.
Mm-mm,
So
mm-mm.
we often are missing some of those references or yeah, they just aren't sticking out to us
Yeah.
as what is kind of historically relevant. So I would love to be able to pick up some more understanding of history of this region.
Cool. Yeah, that I would totally recommend. Just checking out there used to be God, there used to be the dorkiest museum. I loved it. It was like it was animatronic prime ministers like
Stop it.
explaining history.
That's so
I
funny.
thought it was amazing. Anyway, it turns out it did not survive the pandemic. Shocker.
No
Oh,
animatronic Justin Trudeau for us.
Um,
What a loss.
but apparently there is a little museum in Charlottetown that's got some of those not the animatrons, but the
oh,
some of the other artifacts are there. So I think there's I don't know, I don't have the name of it to hand because I really just like the robots.
Nice. Brenna, should we make time to go over to Summerside? Is that ever something that you did when you went as a kid?
Yeah, we used to do it as like everything is a day away, like nothing is
Right.
farther than so we used to do that as like one of the days of shopping. And I don't have any like strong memories of it, but I people say it's really beautiful. I don't have sort of strong associations with it.
I think a lot of the things that I was seeing online about that is that there's just like a lot of really lovely and like well-preserved historic homes. And so there's lots of like
Hmm.
home tours and things like that. Like if you're really interested in architecture or I don't know, like 19th century home furnishings or decor, it might be of high interest. So that's not on my list, but we'll see where we go. The other thing that I'm really finding in kind of in competition for our time is wanting to spend some time at the beach and
Yeah,
see
you
some
should.
beautiful lighthouses.
Yes, they're really unique beaches. They just are. The different
Yeah.
sands and stuff are so cool. And you guys know the Pacific Ocean well. The Atlantic Ocean is just very different. And for PEI's geography too, because of the way it's an island, it's a really different experience than you would
Oh,
have
yeah.
even just coastal Maine or whatever. It's totally different to be on that island experience. So yeah, I recommend at least take one beach day.
oh,
Okay,
for
good.
sure. Well, and I sort of think by the time that we have finished with the conference and done a lot of like the and tourism, we'll be ready for a
Yeah,
day or two of just relaxing and enjoying nature and the beach and see
Totally.
lighthouses. You know, one of the cool places we're staying, though, and this is on Brackley Beach, is a former lighthouse that has been converted
Fun.
to an Airbnb. Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, that's cool.
We're indulging our full Captain Jim fantasies.
100%. 100%.
So we had put out the call on our Instagram to see if any of our other followers had PEI suggestions for us. And one surprising recommendation that came from like pretty much everyone was going to Cow's ice cream.
Mm,
Now
yeah,
that is not going to be a hard sell with our crew. We are all fans of ice cream, of course. And we even saw that their Charlottetown location has like a behind the scenes tour.
oh, you have to go to Cows. Cows used to be a really big deal across the country. Like used to be in any touristy
Oh,
area in
really?
Canada, you'd find a Cows. It has contracted, but it is still a PEI institution. But I will tell you that when you're planning your souvenir money,
Mm-hmm.
go to Cows prepared not just to have the ice cream, but to buy the merchandise because they
Oh,
have this whole thing that they've been doing since the early 90s at least, making pop culture references involving cows somehow.
nice.
T-shirts, magnets, tote bags, everything. And they'll have, there's Anne of Green Stables is like a standby, which is, it's a
Cute.
cow and it's got
Mm-hmm.
pigtails and a hat. Taylor Swift, Dairy Potter, the Moo
Yes.
DeLorean, like any,
Yeah. Yeah.
any sort of
Good. Good.
labored cow pun you can fit into like a pop culture reference. Everything they make is really good, not just the ice cream. So they have chocolates and fudge. They're an award-winning cheddar maker in Canada. They win international awards for their cheddar all the time.
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah,
cows.
yeah, I know. Oh, and you'll know you're in a Cows. I mean, you'll know because you walked into a place with a sign that says Cows, but also the waffle cone smell is very distinctively Cows. So they sell a candle that you can take home that smells like it. And they also make a candle that smells like Anne's raspberry cordial.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
cows, take my money.
All of those things. I have heard one of the listeners mention they do chocolate covered potato chips.
Yes, they
Sound
do.
awesome. That is where my souvenir money is going.
Sounds like we might have to make several stops at cows.
The good
Every
news is
day.
they're all over the island. So
One
you
once is
won't
not
run out.
enough. Lobster rolls and ice cream every day sounds perfect for me.
That is an ideal vacation menu, right?
Yeah, truly. We also heard from some of our listeners that we need to check out Greenwich Beach and Souris for beautiful seaside vibes and relaxation and all of that. And some lighthouses that were recommended to us are Cape Tryon and the French River Lighthouse.
Hmm.
So I've seen pictures of those. They look absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to experience it all in real life.
I don't think you can really go wrong with a lighthouse. Like, I
I
think they're
know,
just
so
all great.
romantic.
Also, we are on the lookout for perfect little independent bookstores.
Mhm.
So anytime we find a bookstore, we are going in. And so we are going to see Anne of Green Gables, the musical. Brenna, did you also know the other new musical they have of Anne and Gilbert?
So I've never seen it. They did during the pandemic, they did screenings of the musicals. I missed it and I was so mad because yeah, it launched after my time spending extensive amounts of time in Prince Edward Island.
I don't
Yeah.
know anything about it. Does it just tell the same story, but like more
No,
romantically?
it is
It's
Anne
their
of
adulthood.
it's Anne of Avonlea and Anne of the Island.
Hmm.
Hello.
So we'll see them back to back because like they only play on the weekends. We only have one weekend there. So
Mm.
we'll do like Friday night, Anne of Green Gables, the musical, Saturday night, because Steve and Alice will be arrived by then to see Anne and Gilbert, the musical. And I'm super excited because one of the things we kind of complain about with the Kevin Sullivan's adaptations is we didn't get a true Anne of Avonlea and Anne of the Island, Anne and Gilbert love story. Like
Mhm.
that's one of the things I've always wanted to really truly see a more faithful rendition of that on screen because Anne of the Island is my favorite book. So I'm super excited to get a chance to see like what they do with that. That's more the love
Yeah.
story.
Oh, good. I'm excited.
So is it weirdly hard to get to Prince Edward Island, or is that just us? Because coming from LA, not only were there no direct flights, we couldn't find any flights that weren't overnight. So we are going to do a red eye and just hope for the best.
Yeah, you guys are adorable. And this is just what traveling in Canada is. Yeah, direct flights only really exist between the major centers. And don't forget, we have two more time zones further east than you guys have. So, for
You have
example,
two more time zones further east?
yeah, so Atlantic time zone and then Newfoundland has its own time zone. It's half an hour off further east.
I like it that they split the difference and now it's half an hour. Come on now.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Like
my
just
gosh.
commit either one or the other.
Just commit.
Like if I fly to Ottawa from where I live in BC, I'm very lucky to only have to change planes once. Like that's very exciting. If I
Wow.
only have to change in either Vancouver or Calgary, that's a good trip. And you either have to leave the West Coast before dawn or get in on the East Coast after midnight. Like those are your choices. We're a very
Oh,
sparse population in a very big country.
okay. I mean, that actually really helps put it in perspective.
Yeah, the extra time zones threw me at first. My mom was like on the phone with me, and of course, we were having a little trouble with like the 24-hour clock too. So then I was doing the math, and she was trying to figure out if I change planes in Montreal, why is it taking this long to get to Prince Edward Island? And then realizing, oh, it's a different time zone.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
We are definitely showing off our American ignorance here. Sorry.
When we were starting to book this trip, I genuinely was feeling like I maybe like forgot how to book travel. Every single trip I came up with was like 17 hours plus. No, girl, this is impossible. LA to New York is 6 hours. Where are these other 10 hours coming from? I'm like, it does not take that long to get to the East Coast. I've been there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, no,
Wait
I'm
till you see
very
Charlottetown
validated.
Airport too. It's adorable.
Well, listen, any airport compared to LA is adorable.
Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to take this moment to apologize to any visitor to Los Angeles who has ever flown into LAX airport. It is truly a nightmare hellscape. It is the worst ambassador for our otherwise lovely city, and I apologize to you personally for it. Okay, wait. Brenna, you talked about taking the ferry over when you were a kid, but there's like the famous bridge to PEI, right? It's on all the postcards. Tell us about the bridge.
Well, I think I don't know if it still is, but when it was built, it was spanning the longest amount of space without extra supports or something. It's some kind of engineering
Ooh.
marvel. It didn't exist when I was a kid. We always had to
Uh-huh.
take the ferry, and I do remember one trip when they were building the bridge, my last family trip to PEI, and like from the ferry you could see them building the bridge. Did you know there's no cost to get on to PEI if you take the
No,
bridge, but you
there's
do have
no
to pay to
toll.
get off?
Oh, that's fun. You have to
They're like,
really want to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, no,
That's
no,
so
come, come,
funny
come,
to
come, come,
me.
come. And then they're like, no.
you're not getting out of here without Cow's ice cream and a hat with a pair of red braids attached to it.
Exactly
And you
right.
got to pay a
If
toll.
you can prove that you have those things, they will let you off.
And when you do get off the bridge, because I've done it a few times as an adult, when you get off the bridge, there's literally this giant reception, like, welcome to Prince Edward Island, great visitor center and everything. And there's a Cow's ice cream, like, right there.
Oh, I love it. The way we're planning to end our Prince Edward Island adventure is we will be dropping Kelly back in Charlottetown to fly home. And then my family and I are going to go down to Maine for a family reunion. And the family reunion is one of the things that really lined up for us about planning this trip this time.
Between the conference and your family reunion, we were like, oh no, this is actually too perfect not to do it now.
Yeah. So I was trying to decide about whether we should take the bridge off Prince Edward Island or the ferry. And our plan is to road trip to St. John in New Brunswick to break up the trip before we go down to Maine. So if you have any recommendations for New Brunswick, that would also be really awesome.
Yeah, no, I do. I lived there for 4 years and I love New Brunswick. It gets kind of a bad rap in Canada because Nova Scotia and PEI are like the vacation destinations for Ontario and Quebec. And so New Brunswick gets this reputation as being the drive-through province because it's the province you have to drive through to get to either PEI or like Nova Scotia fully calls itself Canada's ocean playground. These are the destinations, and New Brunswick is just on the way. But I love New Brunswick. So I would say, first of all, you have to see the tides at the Bay of Fundy on your way through. You're pretty much going to go past the Hopewell Rocks on your way. And that's the highest tide or the highest tidal swing in the world. So you can walk on the ocean floor, look up, and you're like several stories up to where the
That's
grass is,
remarkable.
basically. Yeah, it's super cool. And the rocks are also just really beautiful. They're these sort of beautiful round shapes that have eroded over a million years. So I totally recommend Hopewell Rocks. In St. John, you should go to the Reversing Falls. It's where the visitor center is in St. John, so you probably won't miss it, but it's literally where the water changes direction. My very favorite restaurant in St. John is called the St. John Ale House. The owner is named Jesse Virgin, and he does this whole upscale pub food vibe that I'm a sucker for. So totally recommend going there. And it's just a really nice space. It's all exposed brick walls, and it's a cool vibe. If you're staying in St. John, you should stop at the St. John Public Market. It's the oldest continuing farmers market in Canada. Great place to get your
Ooh.
road trip snacks for the next day for
Yeah.
hitting Maine. It's open every day except Sunday. If nothing else, there's a really great coffee place in there called Java Moose. And while you're in New Brunswick, you have to make sure you eat fiddleheads.
Okay.
Because it's an edible fern native to the region. And if you've never had fiddleheads before, they are delicious and you can get them lots of places.
Cool.
Yeah.
I have not had them. I definitely will look for that. I am really excited to try like some new things. I'm going to add these to our summer itinerary. I am really excited the more I'm doing this research. Okay. So last question that may also be showing off my ignorance of Canada and the Maritimes weather. How chilly or warm is it likely to be at the end of June? I mean, I know you're not the Weather Channel, but this is recording this like 6 weeks out. The Weather Channel is actually not doing much to tell me what June is like.
So PEI is temperate Atlantic climate. June could go either way. You might get a heat wave, especially with climate change. I would suspect it's going to stay around the high teens if you get a nice June, like 18 to 20 degrees. And I do not know what that is in American. I can't do the conversion. I would say make sure you plan to
I
have
think that's
something.
nice. I think that's like mid 60s.
I definitely think it's nice, but I don't I don't speak Fahrenheit. I would say make sure you have something on hand for chilly evenings because the breeze off the ocean is no joke. There's probably not going to be terrible humidity in PEI because it's
Oh,
so
wonderful.
coastal, but when you go into inland New Brunswick, Reagan, you may find some heavy humidity depending on what the weather's doing.
Okay, that's good to know. I did do some quick converting because I don't convert the other way without the online calculus. And yeah, 20 degrees Celsius is about 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's about the temperature that is right now, which I like because it's not too hot. I'm the opposite of you, Brenna, which is I can't quite wrap my mind around Celsius. I have a decent idea of how long a kilometer is and a centimeter. Like I get the metric system in general, but Celsius is completely abstract to me, although I know that 0 is freezing and 100 is boiling, right? But
everything else is somewhere in between those two things.
Yeah. That's good for me to stretch my brain out of my American complacency there. Like
we're a whole different country.
I know. I'm really showing my American insularness.
Yeah, this is like such an American thing to be like, you guys are just like us, right? There are like no major differences. Meanwhile, Brenna's over here being, we have a completely different history. We have completely different ethnic groups. We have an entirely different like history of colonization.
We measure heat completely differently than you.
All right, so we've had a super fun freewheeling episode today. Thank you all so much for joining us. And before we wrap up, we did want to do a quick inspired by Anne. So our little sort of recommendation section today is going to be everybody's favorite road trip song, since Reagan and I will be spending a lot of time in the car jaunting around the island.
I love a good road trip playlist. And when I was growing up, we did a ton of family road trips. As a kid, we didn't even have an inset cassette player. So we just had like a boom box that my mom would put on her lap and we'd just bring a ton of batteries for it. But we sang a lot together as a family and we'd sing our way through musicals, folk music like Peter, Paul and Mary and Pete Seeger, as well as the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac, Paul Simon. So those were all really big in our household. So because of that, I really love sing-along music. So it could be musicals, it could be classics we all know the words to. It could be Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift makes good sing-along songs. And I do love a road trip song about traveling. One of my favorites is the Indigo Girls song, Get Out the Map. And that one makes it onto most of my road trip playlists for sure. I think in general, Indigo Girls make excellent road trip music. And I knew that way before the Barbie. They were not wrong, though. Closer to Fine is pretty much the perfect road trip song anyway. Like it's meant to be sung in a car with the windows open and the wind carrying your voices out into the trees as you sing full volume. So I will always pick Closer to Fine as my perfect road trip song.
Oh, yeah. No, I totally agree, Reagan. And of course, I also love a car sing-along, which is one of the many reasons that I love traveling with your family. But did I ever tell you guys about my husband's extremely literal road trip playlist? Every single song on this road trip has the word drive or road in the title.
No.
Like, you know how sometimes you get into a fight with your spouse just over the absolute dumbest things? We once got into a fight on a road trip where we're like stuck in a little car about how just for once in our marriage, I wanted to be on a road trip and not have to listen to Holiday Road or Road to Nowhere or On the Road Again.
Hey, Chuck. I mean, I like a road trip theme, but at least we don't have to be so literal. You gotta mix it up. You gotta have a little give and take. I also think, this is my firm opinion, everyone should get a few vetoes to use on the road trip playlist, as long as you don't overuse it. Like you can't veto everything. I personally save my vetoes for Hotel California and Sunset Grill, two of my least favorite songs ever in this entire.
Hotel California is just like a bummer song. Like I know it's a beloved song and no shade to people who love it, but I feel like it brings the vibe down.
Hate it. I hate it. It's whiny. It goes on way too long. I'm sorry. No. And it's hard because everybody, like, it's one of those songs, like everybody knows
Everyone knows the words. Everyone's
the
gonna
words
sing
to it.
along. Yeah.
No.
Well, true to my elder millennial nature, I feel like the ultimate road trip song is Chicago by Sufjan Stevens. And then I really like listening to songs that like feel like you're driving. Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel comes to mind for me, or Pink Moon by Nick Drake. Just like something about the kind of cadence of those songs. It feels like you're in a car. I will say though, Reagan. So I'm very recently obsessed ever since her Coachella set with Chapel Roan. And so my plan for this upcoming trip is to recruit Alice to my cause so we can listen to Good Luck Babe and Hot to Go on repeat all week.
Listen, if you can convince her to listen to something other than musicals, I am giving you the thumbs up. I hope you are successful.
I think that Chapel Roan will appeal to her sense of drama. She's a very sort of pop artsy kind of figure. I think Alice will dig her.
Okay, I'm in. How about you, Brenna?
So I am not a road trip playlist person. I'm a road trip podcast person. Just
Oh,
in
yeah.
general, I'm a talking in my ears person generally. But I thought I would suggest some PEI artists for you to add to your road trip playlist just to mix things up a bit.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So Lenny Gallant is a Canadian singer-songwriter. My dad had, I think it was his first album from the early 90s called Believing in Better in his tape deck, just like all the time. So I associate that album with that and my dad's obsession with Bob Marley. I associate with road trips to
Oh,
the
that's so
Maritime
funny. I
Islands.
think Bob Marley is good road trip music.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, Lenny Gallant has this song called The Band's Still Playing, which is about the band on the Titanic. But it's a great
Oh.
road trip tune. I like it. And then two bands you might want to check out always. If you're looking it up on Spotify or something, it's two V's instead of a W, so ALVVAYS. They're a great indie pop band. You can't go wrong with any of their music. And 2 Hours Traffic, which is, oh, tell Chuck there's a whole band called 2 Hours Traffic. He could put all of their music on his playlist.
Here you go.
In.
Perfect.
And
Perfect for the literal mix.
and they're like an indie rock power pop band. Their album Little Jabs is very good for a road trip. They're all really like short, kind of punchy road trippy songs.
Nice.
Ooh. All right. We're going to build a Spotify playlist. We're adding those right now. But what podcast do you like to listen to on a road trip?
Well, so Devin and I have very divergent podcast tastes. We have divergent everything tastes. Like and the whole like shared interest thing, apparently not in my relationship repertoire. Music, media, books, film were like divergent across the board. But I discovered that we can both enjoy Stuff You Should Know when we drove from New Brunswick to BC, which is a drive that took 6 days, with two cats in the back seat at the time. And so it's always been the road trip go-to around here ever since, because they make a million episodes. There's always
Yeah.
new content.
They have a huge backlist.
Yeah.
My like kind of surefire, everyone loves it, crowd pleaser podcast, especially like husbands and wives who generally have like different interests, is Judge John Hodgman.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
So if you guys listen to that one, that is the one where John Hodgman, who is like kind of the comedian culture writer guy, he arbitrates sort of extremely low stake domestic disputes between spouses or parents and children or besties or roommates or something like that. And people come to his court to say, please rule that I can get a second cat or whatever it is. And they kind of, everyone presents their arguments. It's like very lighthearted and fun. And there's something that's just extremely human about it, right? And extremely relatable. And so like, I don't know, it's a total crowd pleaser. Like that's the kind of like everyone's sitting in the car, let's pick a podcast that will work for everyone. That's where I go.
I like listening to podcasts on a road trip, but generally by myself, because one of my problems is I really hate being interrupted when listening to a podcast. Like I do not auditorily multitask at all. So it's kind of annoys me, and I probably annoy other people, that we're listening to a podcast and somebody talks. I'm going to stop the podcast. Go ahead, say what you want to say. We're going to talk about it. Okay, are we done? Now I'm going to turn it back on.
Totally.
So it's not always the best idea for us to listen to a podcast, but we found a few. We recently discovered on a recent drive the podcast called Girls Who Don't D&D. And I don't normally like real play podcasts, but this one is
extremely up my alley, Reagan.
It's so fun. An experienced game master takes 3 women who have never played before through a fun adventure. And all the women are so smart and funny and like all in. And here's the best part. They're all Australian. So I don't know. That just makes it more interesting to listen to. I don't know why. Their accents are great. The guy who's playing the dungeon master, he uses like fun sound effects and has people come and guest voice or whatever. We've only listened to the first couple episodes, but he was telling a really good story. And the women who were playing were so all in, jumping in right away. And I really enjoyed it. So I haven't listened to the whole thing. That might be kind of a fun one since we're all a little bit of D&D nerds.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I did. I just added that to my podcast queue. I
Like you're
love
playing a
actual
game
play
over.
podcasts.
Mhm.
Like this is one of my favorite podcast genres. So I am really excited about this. Thank you, friend. Great recommendation.
No problem.
Kindred spirits, thank you so much for joining us on this little break from discussing the Anne books to discussing our vacation instead. And Brenna, thank you so much for coming back again to the podcast. By the time Reagan and I are working on our episodes for our next season, you will have a new addition to your family. So we hope we will still be able to find some time for you to come back as if you're not busy enough already. But until then, where can the Kindred Spirits find you online?
Well, as I usually do, I'll point your listeners to my podcast, Hazel and Katniss and Harry and Star. And I'm on most social media at Brenna C. Gray, which I always say is Gray with an A.
Coming next episode, we will be talking with Katie Stewart from Owl's Nest Publishing about quintessential summer reads. So if you're looking for your own vacation reading inspiration, please be sure to tune in. And as always, remember that you can get a free Kindred Spirits Book Club sticker by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or sharing about us on social media. Just message us via our email, kindredspirits.bookclub@gmail.com, or on Instagram, kindredspirits.bookclub. And follow us on Instagram as well for updates on the pod, real-time posting from our trip to PEI, and of course, other good, clean, bookish fun. Till next time, Kindred Spirits.
Bye, Kindred Spirits.